My name is Aurel Bacs. I'm a consultant for Phillps in association with Bacs Russo. Today's market is, and I keep on saying the same thing, getting more and more educated. Not only is it growing season by season, but I think this has to simply to do with the fact that the classical mechanical wristwatch is gaining popularity all across the planet. So we have more and more players every year. On top of that, those who enter the market are very quickly doing their homework and are more and more educated. Meaning, we have less and less super rare watches, more and more highly educated and also with an impressive spending power equipped bidders. And that means that we will see continuous shortage for the very best and possibly higher and higher prices in the years to come. The most interesting models for today's market and tomorrow's market are, in my humble view, the so-called signature pieces. Every brand, every manufacturer has had in their history a certain line, DNA you can call it, and this is what collectors are most interested in. The pieces where, even if you took off the logo of the dial, you can recognize what it is. When a reference 1518 by Patek Philippe is just unique to that brand, as much as the Daytona is unique to Rolex, or the Seamaster or Speedmaster to Omega. There is something about authenticity in style, in design, and I think these are tomorrow's greatest classics. I think we already know today what the greatest watches are of the 20th century. You mentioned the Daytona, but of course within Rolex's family you can come up with another 9 names very quickly. Not just the Daytona or Paul Newman as a niche model of the Daytona, but of course you've got the Sea Dweller, the Submariner, the Explorer. I mean, just think, the Explorer 1, what an iconic design. You've got the Milgauss, Day Date, we've already had a wonderful theme auction, the Datejust, the Bubbleback, the Prince. For example, just Rolex alone has more iconic designs than it took me in a minute to list them. Now, of course, Patek Philippe, Vacheron Constantin, Audemars Piguet, Jaeger-LeCoultre, Omega. I could name another 10 brands and they all would deserve and are already on the way to become icons. So I'm not worried that we're running out of icons and themes in the future. Investing in watches. Well, first of all, are you investing your emotions, your time, or do you really mean investing to make tomorrow a substantial profit? I hope, personally, that foremost is passion, curiosity, intellectual and emotional stimulation. And I've seen that those who did it wholeheartedly have often, at the end, been generously rewarded with nice gains on their investment. I don't think that if somebody goes into an auction with the idea of buying a watch for 500,000 and reselling it in a year for 600,000, I don't think that's a good approach. Why? Because how would he know what model is rare, what dial is untouched, what hallmark has never been polished, and what movement bridge has never been removed before during a service? So it's not that easy that you can just buy anything and hope for a 10 or 20% return over 12 months. The world's leading dealers who have years and years of experience can't even do that. So this idea, this concept of throwing money into the watch market and getting a profit out is not quite, doesn't bode well with me personally. I'd like to see as the most important dividend the pleasure of owning and wearing a nice watch. The future of auctions in general can be seen or can be going into very different directions. I don't think that in the very near future the preview, which is what we call the 2 or 3 viewing days before the auction, can be replaced by anything else. Collectors need to see and touch the watches that are offered at auction. So once they come from Japan, from New York, from the Middle East, from Russia, from anywhere in the world to Geneva to view a watch, well, they can also stay for the auction. I'm not going to send them back after half an hour of viewing. So I'm wondering if the auction as an event with 300, 400, 500 people in the room, an auctioneer, telephone bidders, can be replaced that easily by, like just an online event, especially once guests have already flown in from all across the planet. So I think we will always have online as an extremely strong supporting tool for the live event, but the personal contact between the clients, the specialists, the scholars, the watchmakers, the collectors, the objects and the auction house all together will not disappear so soon, especially at the level where we want to be in, which is at a very high quality level. To be a collector or not to be a collector, I think is not a question of how many watches you own. I think it's a question of your state of mind. Yes, of course, I have more watches than the average man on the street. But possibly I have also more ties than the average man on the street. But I'm not a tie collector. I just like to change. And to collect, I think, is a matter of, do you do it intellectually? Do you do it with your heart? I am totally passionate about watches, no doubt. And I often tell Livia when we come back from a holiday, she says, "Are you looking forward to returning home?" And I said, "Yes." And she says, "Why?" And I said, "Because I haven't seen a proper vintage watch in 2 weeks on an island." So, am I a collector? I don't know. But am I completely passionate about watches? Yes, for sure.